A MAGA icon just made the shocking move of calling on Donald Trump to resign the presidency, saying he is no longer fit for office. With the ceasefire in Iran already failing, prices rising at home, and President Strokey Pants seeming to have little interest in, governing, the United States stands at a critical juncture. Think Trump has rescued his presidency with his Iran pause? Think again. The full humiliation next, here on The David Reddish Show. Welcome to the show, beautiful viewers. I'm David Reddish. Once again, to make sure you don't miss any breaking news, make sure to subscribe to both the Occupy Democrats and David Reddish Show channels by following the link in the description. Here at the David Reddish Show, we are pushing closer to our goal of 500,000 subscribers, and the sooner we get there, the sooner I can stop prodding all of you to subscribe. That, and we're having a party here on the show. With that out of the way, let's get back to President Chickenhawk and the calls for his removal from office. As you may recall, Trump's illegal war with Iran has split the Republican Party, but overwhelmingly united the United States, which remains very much opposed to the military entanglement. Trump's social media rants, including one that suggested genocide in Iran, have also invited wide blowback, with lawmakers now openly questioning if he is capable of being president at all. Multiple political figures have called for his removal from office via the 25th Amendment. Take a look.
He's threatening the entire destruction of a civilization. He is calling Iranians animals. He is showing a total disregard for the humanity of people in Iran, in Gaza, in Cuba. This is a moral crime. It is a war crime. We need to be demanding that Congress convene today, and we need to be invoking the 25th Amendment.
Bay Area Representatives Eric Swalwell, Zoe Lofgren, and Latifah Simon echoed Khanna's call for those proceedings. The 25th Amendment outlines how a vice president and members of the president's cabinet can involuntarily strip a president of his powers if the president is declared unfit for office, physically or mentally. And some Republicans are speaking out against President Trump's threat. And while there now appears to be this ceasefire, before that announcement was made, Senator Lisa Murkowski of Alaska wrote in part in a statement on X, the president's threat that a whole civilization will die tonight cannot be excused away as an attempt to gain leverage in negotiations with Iran.
And in the wake of the ceasefire, those calls have not quieted. Stay with me. The big question here is why it took so long for so many people, especially for those who interact with Trump directly, to call for his removal. Forget that the man has had multiple mini-strokes and likely suffers from congestive heart failure. Forget his tariffs. Forget his ranting, his destruction of government buildings, his crypto grifts. Put aside his involvement with Jeffrey Epstein and his crimes. It's the war with Iran that has pushed even some of his staunchest allies to the breaking point. That includes former Trump sycophant and former Georgia Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene. In a shock to the political establishment, Greene, who has become a vocal Trump critic since leaving office, called for invocation of the 25th Amendment. Today, however, appearing on CNN, she sang a different, if similar, song. Greene now thinks Trump needs to resign. Take a look.
Congresswoman, with Congress out of town on recess once again right now, we really didn't hear the Republican leadership respond to President Trump's threat to eliminate an entire civilization. We did, however, see many Democrats join you in calling for President Trump's removal from office. What do you make of the fact that you seem to be more on the side of Democrats on this specific issue rather than your own party? What do you think?
Just to be clear, Wolf, I'm not a Democrat, so I want to make that clearly known. None of my positions have changed, but I think I'm one of the few honest Republicans willing to talk about it. Everyone else is just afraid to speak out against the president because they're terrified of having an ugly Truth Social post dropped on them or a primary challenge like what's happening to Thomas Massie, supported by dark money from billionaires that don't even live in Thomas Massie's Kentucky, the 4th District of Kentucky. That's what other Republicans are terrified. So they won't speak up. They're cowards. And I really have to call out the speaker, Mike Johnson, who calls himself a Christian. I don't know how he can stand by those words. That's what was so offensive to me. Any Christian serving in Congress or serving in the Senate and serving in the administration really needs to take pause and ask themselves, as a Christian, do you really support the president calling for the annihilation, calling to wipe out an entire civilization of people? And I don't think you should, because that's not what Jesus said, and that's not what Christianity is all about. And so I think that, yeah, I'm probably one of the few. It was me, Tucker Carlson, Alex Jones, and a few others that are willing to call it out and speak out against this, because we're willing to be honest. It's not about aligning ourselves with right or left or Democrat or Republican. It's about being honest.
Now, before you dismiss Greene as a media hound, which is kind of true, and before you say this call will fall on deaf ears, consider some history. Richard Nixon remains the only president to ever resign in U.S. history, and he did so because of looming impeachment. Aides told him that should his trial go to the Senate, he would likely be removed, so he resigned both to save his own legacy and that of his fellow lawmakers. Marjorie Taylor Greene's message here is to more than just Donald Trump. It's to other Republicans who are worried that Trump is destroying their party just ahead of the midterms. If Trump did resign, it would offer cover to Republicans who don't want to look disloyal and yet still offer them distance to build an identity away from Trump. They could save their own jobs. Taylor Greene is offering cover. So, message to John Thune, Mike Johnson, and especially Trump's cabinet, starting with Vice President Loveseat, the time has come to talk to the man. You can still save yourselves and help the American people by removing this blight from the White House. Tell him to resign. And if he won't, then get rid of him. It's your future on the line. Not to mention that of every other American. So toss the taco. I'm David Reddish.